What is frugal minimalism and how can it save you thousands? I think we're all trying to save some money at the moment, with the current state of the world economy kind of feeling like it's spiraling into an ever-deepening abyss of uncertainty. It's been a weird time with the global pandemic, supply chain shortages, mass layoffs, housing crisis, and inflation at an all-time high for some of life's basic necessities. I think we can all agree it's been an expensive and turbulent time, and saving money, being frugal, is now more important than ever. So we're here today with perhaps one of our most important videos that we've ever created on this channel to talk about frugal minimalism and how it can save you thousands of dollars every single year. As always, this is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We're just two frugal minimalists who like saving a lot of money.
Simplifying our lives with minimalism was one of the best decisions Josh and I have ever made. The intentional act of simplifying our lives, our material possessions, and the way we spend our time is all thanks to adopting a minimalist lifestyle. We've mentioned a few times here in our videos that we're actually frugal minimalists, which means we really center in on the act of simplifying our lives whilst being frugal. It's going to be more of a detailed one than usual. Here's what we're covering in today's video. What exactly frugal minimalism is, what it tangibly looks like, and how it can save you thousands in every area of your life.
First up, what exactly is frugal minimalism? So to keep it simple, frugal minimalism combines the act of simplifying plus being frugal. It's a wonderful marrying of minimalism, which is all about cutting out clutter and instead focusing on what matters the most to you, as well as frugality, which is all about making deliberate and economically wise decisions with your money. Being a frugal minimalist means that you're intentional with your purchases, you're avoiding unnecessary expenses, and you're not impulse buying or surrounding yourselves with clutter.
A lot of being a frugal minimalist means you've thought deeply about your values, what you do and don't want out of life, where your money can have the biggest impact on reaching your goals and following your aspirations. So much of being a frugal minimalist is weighing up options and making cost-effective choices for spending your hard-earned money on the things that align with what matters the most to you in life.
It's really about priority setting and using your money wisely, not accumulating random stuff or clutter simply because you were bored, stressed out, or felt the pressure to follow the never-ending revolving door of clothing trends. We've mentioned a few times before that clutter is anything that you don't love, need, or use. So in its absolute simplest form, frugal minimalists are intentional with not buying clutter. Being a frugal minimalist is knowing your values and aligning your time and money towards that.
Being frugal doesn't mean spending no money. Frugality also doesn't mean being cheap or sacrificing quality. In fact, frugal minimalists are actually best known for intentionally centering in on making deliberate decisions to save money without compromising on essential needs or values. Majority of the time putting quality and cost effectiveness at the forefront. So when we talk about frugal minimalism, it's really about focusing in on your core values, like knowing the person who made your t-shirt was paid a fair living wage, or knowing the coffee you're drinking was ethically sourced and people and the environment didn't suffer in the supply process. Being a frugal minimalist is knowing where you want to put your effort and understanding that every time you spend money, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. So if this is striking a chord with you, the saving money part, the being more intentional and purposeful part, and thinking deeply about what your core values are, then you might be an aspiring frugal minimalist. You might have even started to think about where the excess or clutter is for you in your own life.
Tangibly, this might look like cutting out fast fashion and simplifying your wardrobe. It might look like cooking at home for the majority of your meals and spending money on quality ingredients to invest in your health. Frugal minimalism can look different in application from person to person because we all have different goals, values, and aspirations. But at its core, it always comes back to simplifying your stuff, physical and non-physical, into only what is essential, aligns with your values, or brings you joy.
Now that you know what exactly frugal minimalism is, how can it save you thousands? First, it reduces consumption. Buying less means saving more because you're simply not buying as many things when you're a frugal minimalist. Being a minimalist means you really do own and buy less. Frugal minimalists take this to the next level. And they only buy things that they really love, need, or know that they'll use. They focus on the essential first, and by knowing their values, they only spend money on just the things they truly want or need.
This intentional act means your individual consumption is slowed way down, which reduces outgoing money, which, depending on how much you currently spend on non-essentials, following trends, or accumulating clutter, can be a huge saving. I know it was for me when I first started out on my frugal minimalist journey. This first one on our list is probably the most straightforward because it's pretty clear. If you're a frugal minimalist, you're buying less, which means you're spending less, which means you're saving more. Frugal minimalism for the win.
Next up, frugal minimalists improve their financial savings by prioritizing quality over quantity. If you're a frugal minimalist, you're always thinking long term about how your money can be best utilized and how it can best serve you and your goals. And buying cheap, as in the flimsy, I know it will break soon kind of cheap, is not it. That's not always the best approach if we're talking long-term savings, because you'll likely end up spending more by repeatedly replacing the cheaply made item instead of just buying the good quality item once. I used to spend a lot of money on swapping out cheaper clothes every season, and it was exhausting, time-consuming, and costly. It also made getting ready in the morning a giant pain. By focusing on quality first and thinking of purchases, even purchases like clothes, as investments, it saves an incredible amount of money. I always like to think about the cost per wear of items, which is the cost of the item divided by the number of times you wear it. So for example, a good quality $200 winter coat's cost per wear would be $200 divided by 45 days, which is assuming you wear it every second day in winter. But if it lasts a good 10 years, that becomes 450 days, because 45 times 10 is 450. So $200 divided by 450 days, that works out to be a really great cost per wear of 44 cents. So basically, if you invest in that good quality coat, every time you wear it, it's essentially only costing you 44 cents. Compare this with a less financially solid approach of prioritizing quantity, focusing on the sheer number of fun yet cheap coats. If a cheap coat costs $45 but it falls apart in the wash and needs replacing every year for 10 years, I've been there, this will end up costing you $450 to just keep buying cheap coats that you throw out every single year instead of the original $200. That's more than double the cost, and this is just one item. Imagine this approach applied across all the things that you buy in the next 10 years. That's a lot of money. Much better to buy with quality in mind first. It will absolutely save you money in the long run. So if you're looking to save some serious dollars, it might be a good idea to start thinking like a frugal minimalist and focus on quality, not quantity.
Number 3, it encourages meal planning and cooking at home. Food is one of life's biggest ongoing expenses, and with inflation on food staples going up higher than we have ever seen them in our lifetime, it's good to share that frugal minimalism saves you a lot of money by encouraging meal planning and cooking at home. Jess and I cook about 99.5% of our meals at home. We personally love cooking, but understand some people don't, or they don't have the time to cook or the space. The list goes on. But we all need to eat. And it's just a fact that eating out, even getting takeout, has become unsustainably expensive for many people. And there are some really quick and easy swaps you can make right now to make cooking at home, even if it's just 1 or 2 more days a week, a breeze, which will end up saving you a lot of money. So yes, we always meal plan, so much so that we've made it ridiculously easy on ourselves. And years ago, we actually laminated a stack of our favorite low effort, low time commitment, nutritious meals and literally stick them on the fridge with little sticky Velcro tabs. Once a week, and only once a week, Jess and I go back through the stack and pick out what we feel like eating. Then we pop them up on the fridge and update any ingredients that we need to pick up on our fortnightly grocery shop. Whatever system works well for you, stick to it and meal plan. It will save you money. Meal planning simplifies the week like nothing else. It saves you money because you're being far more intentional with what you're setting out to eat during the week. It cuts down on food waste, which is a massive issue and costs billions of dollars in global food waste and emissions each year. Frugal minimalists know where to spend their time, energy, and money. And planning meals and cooking at home simply does save. It saves money, it saves on waste, and so much more.
So if you're keen on being a little more frugal, which I'll assume you might be if you're this far into our video, I'd recommend browsing Pinterest for some easy, quick and frugal meals, picking your favorites, planning them out and cooking at home. Even over the course of 1 year, the savings Josh and I make from eating at home, aside from special events like family birthdays or special catch-ups, the savings are literally in the ballpark of $30,000 a year compared to what we used to eat, which is crazy to think about. I did the math and it hurt. I had no idea how much we were spending on food and it was shocking. But actually sitting down and figuring out how much we were spending on food was important and eye-opening. When we worked in the city for our old 9-to-5 jobs, we definitely paid top dollar without even realizing it or being cognizant of it. Nowadays, we eat at home and we save tens of thousands.
Next, and you probably saw it coming, frugal minimalism saves you money by simplifying your finances. Being a frugal minimalist, you're trying to cut out the unnecessary and focus instead on putting your money into the essential. And this definitely simplifies things when it comes to your personal finances. The less stuff you buy, naturally, the simpler your finances become. So if your goal is to save some money and feel less overwhelmed by your finances, then frugal minimalism is a wonderful way to simplify things and save some serious dollars.
Next up, and closely linked to our last point, frugal minimalism saves you money by lowering your ongoing expenses. Frugal minimalists are always looking for ways to cut down on ongoing expenses, and in doing so, they end up prioritizing the most important and worthwhile things. Oftentimes, downsizing goes hand in hand with this. So things like rent money or mortgages, for example, or bills go down with size and cost too.
One way Jess and I lower ongoing expenses when it comes to entertainment is to only have one subscription service like Netflix, Disney Plus, or Stan active at the one time. It's always much more enjoyable to watch an entire show in sequence. So if you've just started watching a TV series, then there's no need to have every other streaming service running at the same time because you're not using them. We try to be more intentional with what we're watching, what we're consuming, because the time spent in front of screens has just increased and increased over our lifetime. And there's no shortage of things to watch if we leave ourselves unchecked. So we're intentional with what we're consuming and try bundling up the shows or movies we want to watch from the individual streaming services and only have one at a time, which is both very minimalist and frugal of us, and has so many other wonderful benefits where we strike a healthier consuming versus creating balance. So frugal minimalists prioritize first, then simplify. And this has a direct connection on lowering ongoing expenses. So think about your ongoing expenses, not just things like streaming services, and you'll most likely find there's a lot of money to be saved every year.
The sixth way frugal minimalism saves you money is through making you more intentional and mindful with your spending. We chatted about this briefly beforehand, but frugal minimalists pride themselves on their ability to home in on their intentionality and mindfulness when it comes to spending their own money. When we're more intentional and purposeful with figuring out what we do and don't want in life, our spending habits change forever. Once you start bringing more mindfulness into your purchasing choices, it's here to stay, especially when you figured out your why behind it. You can only figure out your why when you've really sat with yourself, felt your feelings, and asked yourself the hard questions about who you are, who you want to be, and how you want to live your life.
Frugal minimalism shows us that there are important questions that need to be asked of ourselves to figure out what we value and what we don't. For you, it might be the overwhelming desire for more time, more free time. If that's the case, then that's likely driving a lot of your decisions. Once you're mindful of that, then you can start to really identify what swaps you can make in life to get further towards your goal of creating more free time. So whatever your why is, whether it's to finally be able to work less or have more time, travel overseas, see friends and family more, or buy that pet or have that kid, then thinking like a frugal minimalist 100% makes you more intentional and mindful with your spending, which saves you more money for the more important things in life, whatever that looks like to you.
Our seventh way frugal minimalism saves you money. It literally saves you time, because time is money. In our capitalist system, we have built most of our society around exchanging our time for money. We exchange hours of our life working to pay for things. The first day this really dawned on me, I had found myself in the middle of the women's clothing section during my 30-minute lunch break during work. I held a brightly patterned, very pretty shirt in my hands, and I was about to try it on. Turning over the price tag, I saw that it was exactly the price of my hourly wage. Exactly to the cent. I'd rather have the hour, I thought to myself, and I put the shirt back on the rack and walked out. Walking back to the office, I thought to myself how I'd way rather my time than yet another work shirt that clutters up my closet. I'd rather not have to work an extra hour and stay late at work to justify buying a shirt I didn't even need. I could even go home on time and feel really good about it. So that's what I did. And I'm glad that I had that important lesson reinforced then and there, that time is money and money is time. By cutting down on buying things, it means we're saving money, which ultimately means more free time too.
As number 8 on our list of the ways frugal minimalism saves you money, we've got it increases your independent skills and DIY confidence. Frugal minimalists often adopt a do-it-yourself approach to various aspects of life, like gardening, home repairs, or even making their own all-purpose cleaning products. They try not to rely on shelling out money for pre-made items or quick and easy throw money at it options, which can lead to substantial savings. By not relying on buying expensive pre-made cleaners, for example, frugal minimalists look for ways to be creative and inventive on how you could perhaps do something yourself. Now, it's not always the case that the DIY option will save you money. That's not guaranteed, especially when it's something that requires a specialized skill set that you might just not have the time or capacity for. For certain things, like fixing up electrical in your house, it's probably the best to hire a professional. But for other things, it's all about weighing up the pros and cons of doing it yourself and flexing your independent skills.
For example, I love DIY home projects. Josh and I actually saved over $12,000 by laying our own irrigation and lawn ourselves, which was fun, saved us a boatload of money, and we learned some new skills. Now we have an intimate knowledge of our dripper system, so if anything ever wears out over time, we'll know exactly how to fix it ourselves instead of needing to bring in a professional. It feels great knowing how our irrigation system works because we laid it ourselves, boosting our independent skills, our DIY confidence, and saving us a lot of money in the short and the long term. This weighing up of the DIY option versus paying for convenience is definitely strong with frugal minimalists, and a lot of the time saves a great deal of money.
Ninth on our list, frugal minimalism makes you focus on building assets rather than liabilities, which saves you money. Because frugal minimalists are weighing up what the best use of their money is, they know they have power in the things they do and don't buy. Assets are things that generate cash flow or increase value, and liabilities are financial obligations that decrease money. An example of an asset is your house, whereas an example of a liability is your credit card debt. Both cost money, but one actually generates you more money. The banks look favorably on you having more assets, not more liabilities. A frugal minimalist tries to minimize the amount of liabilities they own because they understand they cost you money.
So if you're wanting to save more money than ever before, try thinking like a frugal minimalist and look at every item you purchase from now on as either an asset or a liability. That trendy new home decor piece you saw on Instagram, would that be an asset or a liability? That video editing software you know your small business will benefit from, that sounds more like an asset. So frugal minimalists save money by prioritizing assets, not liabilities.
Number 10 on our list, frugal minimalism pushes you to recycle, reuse, and repurpose, which saves you money. Frugal minimalists know the value and importance of reusing and repurposing where they can. They deliberately try to look for the environmentally friendly and cost-effective ways to save. For example, by reusing containers for storing things rather than going out and buying all new storage solutions if they've already got perfectly functional options at home, even if they're not the most aesthetically pleasing.
Frugal minimalists get creative and use things to their full potential, and at all times trying to avoid being wasteful. A big part of that is looking around and seeing what else can be of use before shelling out money to buy something brand new. By looking around you first and seeing what things might even be dual purpose or have a new life or purpose they could live, by recycling, reusing, and repurposing, frugal minimalists save themselves a lot of money and help the environment along the way.
Related to our last point, we've got the 11th way frugal minimalism saves you money. It actually shrinks your carbon footprint. Typically, the lower you get your carbon footprint, the more you are saving. Your carbon footprint is your individual mark on the earth. It's a measure of the amount of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere as a result of the activities you undertake living your day-to-day life. There's carbon footprint calculators online where you can plug in your information information and it tells you your impact on the earth. As a frugal minimalist, this is a piece of information that is quite handy to know, as you can typically always find new ways to reduce your carbon footprint. And in doing so, you're more likely to save money by shrinking your environmental impact on the earth. So if you're getting serious about saving money, it might be a good idea to figure out your carbon footprint and spend some intentional time looking over the different areas of your life that could potentially save some money and reduce your carbon footprint.
Number 12 on our list, we've got frugal minimalism saves you money as it aids in reducing existing debt. Debt is just one of those things the majority of us have, but a big difference between frugal minimalists is most pronounced by looking at their differing levels of debt. For all the reasons we mentioned earlier, and even more to come, it's pretty clear that frugal minimalists save money through a multitude of ways. They're purposeful and intentional with where they're putting their money and what things they're bringing into their life. So naturally, they're in a much better mindset already when it comes to reducing and paying down debt. Debt is a kind of weight that feels heavier the more you have, and it impacts all areas of life, and reducing it is on many people's minds. Frugal minimalists are nearly always making moves to reduce debt, whether that's through decluttering and selling off their unused, unwanted possessions, cooking at home, simplifying their finances, or cutting out subscriptions they're not actually using instead of forgetting about them, or deliberately not buying the non-essentials. This all contributes to reducing debt. So if you've got debt and you're trying to reduce it, try thinking like a frugal minimalist.
Lastly, a bonus point we wanted to make in regards to frugal minimalists saving money. With all the points we've made already, it's pretty clear there's so many ways frugal minimalism can save you money. But it goes beyond that. It can actually make you more money. How? Well, by saving more money, you make more money. The saying, a penny saved is a penny earned, comes to mind here. It's actually not something I completely understood till I started to get serious about making more money and researching things like passive income, the financial independence retire early FIRE movement, and things like index funds and ETFs. The more money you save, the more money you can make, because the more money you save means the more money you can invest into assets and investments.
So if you're serious about saving money, but also making more money, frugal minimalism is a wonderful pathway to begin. It's unique to everyone, but at its core, it's about centering in on prioritizing the things in life you find the most important and stripping away the excess clutter, whatever that might look like to you.
So there you have it, the many ways frugal minimalism saves you money. Jess and I have been frugal minimalists for many years now, and it has completely changed our lives for the better. We save and make far more money than ever before, and most importantly, for us anyway, we have more time than we've ever had, thanks to frugal minimalism.
This was a lengthy video, but we truly hope that it helped someone out there. If anything we said today inspired or resonated with you, we'd love if you could give this video a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.